Welcome to Behind the Scenes at Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses, where tiny horses bring comfort, hope, and healing to children, veterans, first responders, and communities in need. For almost 30 years, this award-winning nonprofit charity has shared the healing power of miniature therapy horses inside children's and veterans hospitals, hospice programs, assisted living programs, schools, and beyond. Now they are sharing their stories every week on the Equus Radio Network.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Gentle Carousel, Miniature Therapy Horses. I'm your host, George Garcia Bengochea. I'm the founder of Gentle Carousel, and I'm here alongside the co-founder, Debbie. Say hello, Debbie.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
All right. We are excited that you are back, and we're going to talk about what we've been up to this summer. It's been very busy, and we've been doing our Summertime Reading with Horses program, and that's been really cool to see all the kids come out and enjoy summertime reading. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the program and what that is.
Well, what we do, it's a lot like the reading program that we do in schools during the school year, but it's back to back. Each week we have a different book and a different horse that comes out, and we've been very fortunate that a lot of different authors and publishers have written about our horses. So when we read a book or children finish a book, the actual character from the book comes out to meet the children. So it's a way of bringing the story to life, which is very exciting. I was a school principal, and to be able to do something to make reading exciting for children is always a good thing. And I just love that we have so many people that come out. We've had, how many do you, about?
I'd say we've had about 200 coming out every week.
Yeah, which anytime in the summertime that you get that many children and families coming to a reading program, that's always a really good thing. So this summer so far, we've had Moon Shadow came with her book, High Paw Super Sebastian. And what we love about doing the reading program is bringing a lot of extras each week, something that's a little different. Like with that book, the author called in. She sometimes does that during the school year. She called in from Costa Rica during the school year. She was in Maine, which is a great place to be during the summer. So she called in to answer questions from the children. So not only did they get to meet the actual character from the book, they got to meet the author and ask the author questions. So it's just really a way of making reading exciting.
Well, it is an opportunity to bring so many of these elements together. We are reading a story about horses, and then that particular character does come out and meet the children. But we've talked about what it means to write a book, what it means to be the artist or the photographer of a book, and then to actually speak to the author, I think is pretty amazing. And then for her, she was, like you said, she was down in Costa Rica. One time we spoke with her in front of kids, and then another time she's in Maine. I mean, sounds like a pretty good gig when you're able to live where you want to live and you write books. So there are a lot of little pieces that come together. We can talk about some of the other weeks that we've done, but the pattern that we've sort of done is after we read the story, that particular horse steps out and greets the children. And what we're finding is it's the first time a child has ever met a horse. And so they get excited about that. They get excited about the story. And then they get to take home a book for their very own. And I like to see their faces when they select a book of their own. It's not assigned to them. They're not forced to read the book, but they've got a summertime book that they're able to take back to their house and have it for the whole summer. And the children that have come to each week, they're starting to build a little personal library of their own books, their own choices, their own titles, and we get to see them talk to each other about the titles they picked and why they chose the subjects, and pretty wide variety. We saw science books, we saw what other books have you seen kids pick up?
Well, I remember one little boy said, "Do you have anything on volcanoes?" And we did. So we were like,
Shockingly
"Why,
enough.
yes, here you have a book on volcanoes." And he was like, "Oh, good." And he took that one. Like, it just magically appeared. But it is nice that there's just a wide selection of books, from really early learning books up through chapter books. And we try to do different books also with the reading program, so that there's sort of different levels. I mean, we try to make sure that everyone is entertained of all ages, but it's nice to be able to meet the needs of all ages. And we really, at our reading programs, have had all ages there. Mm-hmm. We've had assisted living programs that have come out because, everyone loves a horse. Mm-hmm. And we have stuffed horses made by Operation Shoebox in the Villages in Florida. And they're all one-of-a-kind stuffed horses. So the children that are there get to pick out a horse to give to a senior. Mm-hmm. So it's not just the reading, it's really just a lot of the interaction that we can bring. Mm-hmm. That, the seniors want to give a horse a hug too. And it makes them really, really happy. And so we try to do something a little different each week. We have the book, we have the horse from the book, which in and of itself is a great thing. But then we try to bring other new things, fresh things for the children who are coming every single week. Although there's been just new people every single week too. Mm-hmm. But like, for instance, we had therapy horse Sweetheart. And any of the horses we talk about, if you go to our website, there's a page for each horse, so you can see what they look like, what we're talking about.
The character of the horse, what their personality is like.
Yeah, mm-hmm. The book that they might be with. But we had the Florida Museum of Natural History came out with their equine paleontologist to talk about all of the horses, the prehistoric horses, that are from Florida. And who knew that there are more prehistoric fossils of horses in Florida than anywhere in the world? So they brought the actual fossils out, and we've got a great picture of Sweetheart nose to nose with one of the fossils. Hopefully the head person at the museum didn't mind that. But
that was pretty cool because children that age, they really love prehistoric bones, and usually kids talk about dinosaur bones, but these were equine fossils, prehistoric equine fossils, their teeth, bones, and the children loved that, and quite a few of them got to actually take some home.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. And, just the good questions that they had, that you find fossils in the rivers. And scuba diving in the rivers are one of the places that you're able to look for them. As long as you avoid the alligators, I guess, you can get the prehistoric fossils. But those kind of things that we try to add to the programs make it fun and exciting too. And I think Therapy Horse Sparkle did a program one week this summer.
Why don't you talk a little bit about the story behind Sparkle, because that was fascinating. I think a lot of people really responded to Sparkle, her story, and how she came to Gentle Carousel. Maybe you can talk just a little bit about that.
Okay. It's kind of a long story.
Well, I think it's what people would like to hear. I mean, all of our horses, they do have a personality of their own, and I might be biased, but I think they're beautiful horses. They're very cute. They're very affectionate. They like working, whether you're practicing, training here on the farm, or going out into the community. They really like engaging with people. But each one really does have its own personality. And you spoke, when Sparkle came out, you spoke about how we acquired Sparkle.
Yeah. Well, there's a book, Mini Horse, Mighty Hope, about Gentle Carousel miniature therapy horses. And people ask, well, where can you get these different books? And, most of them you can order on Amazon. We happened to pick that book up at a Barnes & Noble. But it was the story about Sparkle and how we got Sparkle. And it was years ago. There was a huge hurricane, and there was a miniature horse farm that got wiped out, which we can sympathize with after Hurricane Helene here.
It was terrible.
But the horses were at an auction because they couldn't keep the horses anymore. And I went to the auction, and there was a foal there that I absolutely loved. The father was a very famous horse over in Europe, and this foal was so calm and gentle around, all the people, all the activity that was going on. So of all the horses that were there, that was the one I was like, that's the one I want to bid on at this auction. That's a gentle carousel horse. And so we were waiting for the auction to start, and I started talking with this woman was there with her granddaughter. And her granddaughter was in a wheelchair. She was a young girl in a wheelchair. And they were there also to find a horse for her granddaughter. So we were talking, about, them and their family. And, I told them about Gentle Carousel and what we do working with children in hospitals and veterans in hospitals and all the things that we do. And then the auction started, so we said goodbye, and I went in and sat down, and all the different horses were coming through, and I didn't bid on anyone. I was just waiting for this little horse to come through, and finally it did. And a lot of people were bidding on it because it was adorable and it was a beautiful horse. And more people bid on it, and then it sort of died down, and there was just a few people, and then there was only one other person bidding. So it was me and this other person, and I didn't know who they were. So, the auctioneer kept going back and forth between the two of us.
And it's not like we have deep pockets.
No, and the horses weren't super, super expensive either. I mean, or else we wouldn't have been there.
They were really
looking
trying
for
to find homes.
Yeah, we didn't have deep pockets. But I leaned out to see who the other person was that was bidding, and it was the grandmother with the little girl in the wheelchair. And I was like, oh no, I really wanted this horse, but there's no way I was going to keep bidding against the grandmother and her granddaughter. So we looked at each other and caught each other's eye, and I just put, my little number down in my lap and pointed to her. So the auctioneer looked at me to see if I was going to bid again, and I said no. So he said sold to, and they bought the horse. Mm-hmm. And I was I was disappointed for sure, but I just couldn't do it. And so we watched a few more horses come through, and then I was getting ready to leave, and the grandmother with her granddaughter were coming through the crowd toward me, and I said hi and congratulations, you must be so excited. And they had a packet, and I said, you just got a really nice horse. And they said, actually, her granddaughter liked a different horse. And she handed me the packet and said, we were bidding on that one for you.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so, well, first of all, I'm glad I didn't bid against the people who were trying to do such a great act of kindness. Mm-hmm. And so she gave us, the registration papers and the sale information and said, all I want this horse to do is go out and do good things. And it was just amazing. I think that's a lot of what we want to talk about with this podcast is there's so many acts of kindness that go on and good things that we've seen through almost 30 years of working with the horses. And I thanked her, and they went on their way, and I'm standing there holding in disbelief the packet and the horse,
a little foal,
little foal. And I don't even know what their names are. And I hoped that somehow, all these years later, that maybe the granddaughter, who would be an adult now.
Yeah, hopefully she's following what little Sparkle is doing and what we do, yeah.
Well, I just thought, I hope she read the book, that there's a chapter in that book about her grandmother and the act of kindness that she did. And that she, her words were, I just want this little horse to go out and do good things. And I think of Sparkle that day at the reading program because we did the reading program, and then Sparkle went to a home hospice visit with a woman who was an equestrian her whole life and just wanted to be with a horse one last time. And then after that, we went to a Ronald McDonald House to be with children who are getting treated in hospital care. So I thought, you know what? Look at Sparkle. He's doing good things, just like she asked.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's doing. So that's Sparkle's story anyway.
Yeah. Well, Sparkle is an amazing horse. Sparkle was very black when you first...
When we got him, he was black, and he gets lighter and lighter every year. And now he's basically white with a black mane and tail. So he's really stunning.
Little dappling in the,
yeah,
on the back.
He's pretty stunning.
Yeah.
If you want to see him, go to...
please come to the website.
Yeah. It's just www.
GentleCarouselTherapyHorses.com.
Yeah.
And another plug here, if you do want to find that book, Many Horses, Mighty Hope, and that's authored by Debbie Garcia Bengochea. You can find that on Amazon or any really of your favorite bookstores. But that's another kind of behind the scenes book about the work of Gentle Carousel and kind of Debbie and I over the years and different situations that we've come across. I mean, these horses have taken us so many places, and like Debbie was talking about with little Sparkle, he really is such a patient horse and likes to interact. I mean, I think at that hospice visit, he was walking alongside the wheelchair with this woman, very patient, very loving. He put his muzzle in her lap, and she really enjoyed it. She got to run her fingers through his mane and just spend that special time. And then later at the Ronald McDonald House, we do a little time with the children where we do what's called a double lead line. We'll hook up another lead line where a child could walk alongside the horse, and two people. You know, usually I'm the handler with the miniature horses, and so we walk alongside. The children are on the other side, and they're walking a horse. And you know, I can say with full confidence that child did not wake up in the morning thinking, hey, today I'm going to walk a horse.
That is true. And even if they're in a wheelchair, they're able to walk the horse. But the book, Mini Horse Mighty Hope, it's the publisher is Ravel Publishing, and we make no big bucks on this book.
No.
But if you want to learn more or read some of the background stories, it was it won a few awards, and it was a bestseller in inspirational books and Bookspans books and all of that. So if
it
you're
really
interested,
has been well received, and like Debbie says, we don't make a lot of money off the royalties or anything like that, but I think it just helps us share our story. And people do ask. They always want to learn more about what we do. As we've mentioned previously, quite frequently the visits that we do are behind they're not public, they're behind the scenes, they're private little get-togethers to encourage and inspire somebody, or it might be in a school, but we don't take a whole lot of pictures just for privacy issues. So but we can always share stories, and that's really what we're doing here. So what are some of the other horses that we have worked with this summer in the reading program?
Well, the reading program, which it's been so much fun. We do it every summer, and then we do the schools were part of the curriculum for the Marion County Public Schools, which is the horse capital of the world. But Circus came. He's a favorite. He's a leopard Appaloosa, and he's as sweet as he can be. And the horses, all of the horses usually do a reading program, and then go somewhere else after to do, something else.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about the book that goes along with Circus. I think that's got a great message. And when we go to schools and we talk to parents, they get very excited about the message behind Circus and Spots.
Yeah. Well, I think that when we are contacted by an author or a publishing house and they want to do a story about one of our different horses, and we've been, like I said, very fortunate that there have been some great ones. I mean, I think that we are very, very careful. We want, our horses have been out at some pretty challenging situations. And, they were at Sandy Hook the first classroom, felt that they were important and part of things. And, in the public schools, we really kind of look at that pre-K through third grade And we do older children as well, but I mean, those ages, and really to be able to talk about being kind to each other, treating each other with compassion. And so the book Spots with Circus, who's got spots all over him, in his story, it takes place in a school, and this is a picture book, but every time a child does an act of kindness, lets a new student sit with them, does something, one of his spots changes colors. So throughout the day, he goes from being in black and white to being all the different colors, and it's a rhyming book for young children, but it's all about, he hopes to find that you're spotted being kind. And, he has all the spots, but what we do when the actual character comes in is we have non-toxic washable paint. And, if we're in a situation where we can do that, we have children come up one at a time, and they will paint a spot on the actual character that washes off very easily after and says something kind about a classmate, who then comes up and paints a spot and says something kind about a classmate. So they all take turns, and, they're kindness spots. And some of the schools have really been doing kindness spots all year, spotting people doing acts of kindness around the school. And we've had schools where we go at the very end of the year to have a special luncheon with children who've been caught spotted being kind after the book was Circus. So that's, those are the kind of stories that we think are important for young children. There's another one, we had our horse Mercury, and his book is Mercury and Sirius, and it's about his relationship. His best friend is a livestock guardian dog here on the farm, and we will have to do an episode about our livestock guardian dogs because they are amazing.
Yeah, they have been amazing, and it seems like people really enjoy hearing about these livestock guardian dogs. These are Maremma dogs, and I think they're unique, but they have helped us out tremendously. And we will have to talk more about that. But Sirius is a special dog.
Yeah, but this book is, the whole idea of it is, you've got this little horse, and they met when Mercury was 1 day old and Sirius was 8 weeks old. So because our horses are so used to being around the guardian dogs that when Mercury was just a baby, his mother did not mind him being around this puppy or being around any of the guardian dogs. They're very, very bonded with each other. And so they grew up together and were very, very attached and bonded with each other. And so the whole story, the main theme of it is just because we're different doesn't mean we can't be friends. And I think that's something that everyone could learn from. We've had teachers and stuff going, can you guys come and do this story for parent-teacher conference or, different things.
It is a great message, especially in schools. I think the teachers and the staff are really just really craving for that kind of just values within the school. And, they have a tough job. They're teaching the curriculum. They have a big responsibility, and to have a story like this where you're talking about even though we're different, we're just alike.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that we've seen bringing the horses into schools, oftentimes it does seem to lower the defenses of the children, where they come up to us, and maybe you can talk a little bit about some of our volunteers. They actually are former professionals, teachers, psychologists. We've had
reading specialists. I mean, we have a great team of volunteers that work when we go into the schools. So, doing the reading programs in the schools has been amazing. Mm-hmm. And again, when I was a kid, if my favorite horse book, if I'm at school and the actual character from my favorite horse book, not just any horse, but the horse from the book, I would have been beyond myself. I would have, I would have been ecstatic. So I try to put myself in the shoes of what it's like. But I think just from the point of view of the actual character being there is so important. And so with our reading program, back at our reading program, that's what we do every week. I mean, we've had Circus there. Mercury, Sweetheart, Sparkle, Moon Shadow this summer so far. We have this coming week, Magic will be there, and Officer Magic. She's a sworn officer with the Ocala Police Department. So when she comes, the police department comes. They bring a police car because the book is Officer Magic is My Friend. And it's all about what goes on behind the scenes at the 911 dispatch, why police cars have sirens, and they'll have the police car parked there and do the siren and the lights. And fortunately, nothing bothers Officer Magic. She's used to all that. And she has her own police scrim when she's with them. And the kids get the stickers, the police officer stickers, and all of that. So that's her book. We'll be doing that this week, but we do that a lot where the police department will call us and they're going somewhere to do a program and ask if Officer Magic is available to attend that program with them. So we have a great partnership with them.
And that's been a great community outreach with the local police department here and the chief of police. He's done a tremendous job at building relationships with the community. The objective of the police is to protect and preserve, and they really do have a mindset to provide that to the community. And so it's great messaging. And when you bring in a little horse, I think it does bring the message home that there are a lot of smiles. We've heard children say, "Wow, it's great to see this strong policeman smiling and laughing," and then the police are saying, it's great seeing kids want to be around policemen and asking questions
and women, policemen and women,
and women. So it's been a great relationship, and we're very proud of that book, Officer Magic is My Friend, and what we're able to do in the community with that message, and also the little celebrity hero horse Magic.
Yeah, we'll have to do an episode about her too.
She's entitled to her own.
She gets her own episode. She's done some pretty wild things, and then we had Sundance, who his book is Second Chance Horses because he was a rescue, and that's by Baker Publishing. But it's it's also a really good story for children to think about humane education and how we should treat horses, and that they have their own personalities. They're real. They have a life. They're not just something you ride on. And, these children and their parents really fall in love with the little horses. And how could you not? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of our reading program during the summer. We have it at one location, Midtown Station in downtown Ocala this summer. But we also are doing programs at the same time at other locations and libraries and things like that. So we kind of spend the summer reading, and then school starts and we do reading, during the school year all the time too, in between hospital visits and all the regular things that the horses are doing.
Well, and there have been some great things that we've talked about with the horses. I know with Sundance we've talked a lot about preserving horse farms, and horses need a place to live. The population is growing, and there's a little bit more urbanization everywhere you look, but we have to protect our farmland. So it's a great opportunity for children to learn about where horses live and what kind of lifestyle they deserve. So we provide that messaging as well.
Well, in Sundance, Second Chance Horses are rescue stories, and his story is called Freedom for Sundance, because when we got him, he was living in a chicken coop.
Yeah, so sad.
Yeah, and he'd lived in a chicken coop his whole life. And the story is about how he went from that and slowly worked his way to be part of the herd, because our horses live a very natural life. Even though people usually see them indoors, they live a very natural, free life. Another episode of how the horses live and the kind of training that we do to make sure that,
and he's a wonderful horse. He is so sweet with kids, and just really seems to enjoy getting out and experiencing new things. I think all the miniature horses love to load up in the van, and they wonder where are we going this time.
Yep.
And they step off with a lot of confidence, and it's that that mixture of having a natural life on the farm. It's very quiet here. We like to keep things somewhat private and just let them have their own time in the herd. And they've got their Maremma livestock guardian dogs protecting them, and they act like regular horses, natural life.
Yeah.
And then I think that way, when they do have an opportunity to come out into the community, it's a new experience for them. And they know they're coming back to the farm. They know they're going to have their friends waiting for them. So yeah, Sundance has been a very, very special horse, and just knowing the life that he has now and knowing where he came from, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And doing therapy work, it's not for every horse. It's not for every miniature horse. You really have to have the right personality to be both safe and happy doing what you do. I mean, there may be another job for other horses. So it is really a rare horse that can do what our horses do. So we want to make sure that they have a really good life. But, all of those things are things we're able to share during the reading programs, and to talk about being kind to animals, being kind to people, which is important too, in how they treat each other. And, getting books to children, the support that we have in the community and the volunteers that come out and help to make this program possible, and, getting a location that we are able to just have a lot of these families come. And it has been at least 200 people each week to come for a reading program, which is exciting.
Yeah, and it is worth mentioning, there's no cost. This is free to the public. Every time we do these summertime reading programs, and even our reading programs in the schools, we don't charge the schools, we don't charge the families, but we're able to do this because of the support of the community. And we do have some sponsors that step forward and help us to accomplish these goals.
Yeah. We couldn't do it without the sponsors, because for every child to get a free book to take home, and lots of other things. Last week it was teddy bears that said, "I love reading." There's been just great things that they're able to take home. This week they get their free ice cream cone at the end of it. I mean, it's the little things, but it is true that we don't charge for we have never in 30 years ever charged for a visit or a program with the horses. We really try to work it out other ways with people who want to support the charity and help out and do it. And we didn't know until this past week there was a magazine in the lobby of where we were doing the reading program, and I was just flipping through it before we got started, and found out that we were one of the top 10 things to do, our reading program in Ocala for the summertime. So we were like, yay.
Well, it has been a blast, and it's really, I think we mentioned earlier, this is for children of all ages, and that means we have infants in strollers that come out, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And you've got a horse that's nudging and meeting a little infant, perhaps a 2-year-old or even younger. And then you mentioned the seniors, they come out, and the parents and friends of the parents, and we've got grandparents that come out. So it really is, it's been a community-based program, and everyone seems to have fun, and everyone learns something. I think even the adults, they enjoy learning about what's going on with the horses, learning what's going on with different books and the messaging, and seeing the children interact, and then the adults get to spend time with each other, so they're having fun. But it's really been a blast, and I'd say a large number of people keep coming back each week because they enjoy it. They enjoy it so much, and it is a fun thing to do in the summertime.
And I think our age range, we were talking about it, last year the age range was 2 months to 102. So we definitely covered the age range, and everyone was happy. And we tell people too, somebody called and said, "Oh, I can't find a child to bring. I really want to come." We're like, okay, well, let's not abduct anyone. Just come and sit and enjoy. In the same way that the seniors come, we have adult special needs from a program that will come out. And even though they're adults, they are children at heart. So all different kinds of people to be able to come out and really enjoy hearing a story and meeting the character and petting a horse. And the vast majority of these children have never ever touched a horse before in the horse capital of the world. And as they come back, more and more say, yeah, I've touched a horse because, or they remember being with one of our horses at a school. So, but we really being able to get horses into the community in that way too, in the horse capital of the world, is an exciting thing. So
yeah, we're able to talk about some particulars, of how do you behave around a horse. And these are very, very safe horses. They're very loving horses. But they are horses, and so we're able to talk about, how do you treat a horse? How do you behave around a horse? Where do they like to be touched? We have a volunteer who actually, his living is horsemanship, natural horsemanship. And so he talks about, with the children, and he helps us with safety with the kids, that this is how horses like to be treated. And that's been good messaging for kids that are here in the horse capital of the world. How do you act around a horse? You don't scream. You don't.
How to be kind. It's the same thing. The book is about being kind, but what is it like to be kind to a horse? What makes a horse happy? And our horses are little. If they don't need 200 people grabbing their noses, they don't need people, walking behind them.
You just can't see them.
Yeah, we try to tell children, could you get kicked? Yes, it's possible, but there's a better chance that the horse doesn't even know you're there because they don't have vision directly behind them or directly in front of them. They have great vision all the way around, but teaching those kind of things. And yes, shout out to Dancing Pete Rhoda.
That's right.
From the Horse Talk Show, co-host of the Horse Talk Show, who has been out each week volunteering. He's been amazing.
He has been phenomenal.
And so I think with the reading program, we've talked about it a lot, but if you go to our website at
www.gentlecaraseltherapyhorses.com.
Yeah, that you can even look and see photos of the reading program if you go to the link about reading with horses, Gentle Carousel's Reading with Horses. You can kind of see get some visual aids for what we are talking about in some of the horses. And
it is a good place also to sign up for our newsletter. And we send this newsletter out about once a month, giving you updates of what the horses are up to and what we'll be doing next. And certainly we're going to be talking about the podcast, but we would love your feedback. If you would like to respond, you can respond through the website, make some comments, talk about what you're interested in hearing, maybe talk about what you liked about the podcast. Also, you can go to our social media, and you can find all of that on our website. There are links.
We would love for you to follow on Facebook. We post every day on Facebook what the horses are doing, pictures, updates, so some of the things that we're talking about, and all of those links. Instagram too, a little less. I need to be better about that. But we have a lot of people that follow from all over the world on our Facebook page. And so if you want to check that out and follow us, that would be great.
It's a very, very positive social media platform for us. We do monitor it, and I say we. Debbie does a great job.
Well, our followers do a great job. If somebody wants to get political or anything like that, it's just not the Facebook page. It's really about what the horses are doing, wishing people well that are in the hospital. Just, again, there's so much negative in the world. We hope to bring some positive into the world. So if you follow us on Facebook, that would be great, or Instagram, that would be great.
And we do have about 500,000 followers on our Facebook page, and we have people who followed us for years and have never met the horses before, but they are able to interact virtually because they hear the stories, they see the pictures, they see the responses. It is interactive. And I know we have a lot of children, even though they may not have been to our summertime reading program, they get the experience. They get to meet these little horses. They get to hear about these books. And hopefully that inspires them to read, do recreational reading in the summertime.
Yeah.
Everyone loves to read in the summertime.
They do?
They do.
Well, the thing is, if you're not reading, if children aren't reading, they can lose a month or two or more of their, of all the things that they've learned during the school year with reading. It really slides behind, so it really helps. But if you have, our email address is also, all the contact information is on the website. So if you have a question or something you would like us to talk about in the future, just send us a little note so that we can jot that down and keep it in mind.
And we'll do our best to respond. Yeah.
And we will definitely do our best to respond on our podcast. And, if there's a situation that comes up too, like we do FaceTime calls with children that are in the hospital. So even if we can't be right at the hospital with them or somewhere else, it's just a good platform to be able to help us connect. If you hear there's a pony on the phone for you and you're able to see a horse that you've followed, even children who are local or who've been local at the local hospitals that go home, to be able to do a FaceTime call with them and have their favorite horse check in on them. So there's a lot that we can do with our social media, with the website. But the biggest thing is just go there and check it out and follow along with what we're doing. That's the plan. And check on our reading program and see how that is. And
yeah, that sounds great. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us this week. We're super excited to have you participate with Behind the Scenes. Next week, it sounds like we're going to talk about the Maremas, livestock guardian dogs.
Yeah, they're called the guardian angels. On our social media, people started calling them the guardian angels because they allow our tiny little therapy horses to live the life that they do. So maybe next week we could talk about the dogs, their relationship with the horses, but also about how our horses live, which we think is really important to keep them happy and healthy. And in the future, we want to talk more about training the therapy horses, questions that people have about that, and a whole lot of other things. So there's so much to cover.
There's plenty to talk about.
Lots of stories.
And with the Maremas, it is a special breed, so stay tuned and hear all about that. This is a long-lived breed of dogs that have a very specialized job, and we're just very blessed that they're here on our property, and it allows us to do what we do. But I think we're getting ready to come to the close here. We're so glad you joined us. I'd like to encourage you to come back and listen to the next podcast. Thank you very much, and we'll say goodbye at this point.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care.
If you enjoyed the Gentle Carousel podcast, remember to follow the Little Horses on social media and join the Gentle Carousel newsletter mailing list. If you'd like to learn more about supporting the important work of Gentle Carousel miniature therapy horses, or if you have a question that you'd like answered on a future episode, all contact information is on the charity website, gentlecaraseltherapyhorses.com. Join behind the scenes at Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses each week for a new episode right here on the Equus Radio Network.